All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. Let me post this link here. How do I get the link to how do you even do that? How do you do that in this application? I don't know what I'm doing in the computer. Do I have to go out to Twitter and find it? Oh man. Let's go see if it's in the notifications. Should be easier. Am I live yet? I should be. How do I oh, here we go. Boop. How do I get a link to this? Let's copy. Oh, I can hear myself now. Great. All right, there we go. There's the link. Let's go back here. Let's just post these. I think this helps. Nuno does this. I feel like it's better. There you go. Okay, so let's just post those for what it is. Okay. Hopefully everybody can see me and hear me okay. I adjusted my camera a little bit. I feel like it's more responsive now with the zooming. I noticed on one of my last streams, I was half blurred most of the video. So I think it's super responsive now. Very crisp. Might be too crisp. So anyway, let me know in the chat how that's looking. Let's get everyone up to speed here. Okay, so what I'm doing is there is a local house cleaning service that some family members use, and it's a very nice lady, and I chatted with her and said, hey, do you have a website, do you have stuff, whatever, because I wanted to look into their service. And she didn't have a website. She said she wanted to make a website. She said she, Facebook page, all this stuff, Instagram, all the things. And I said, okay, well, I can help you with a website if you're comfortable with me, using AI and putting it on a stream and using it as content and kind of, having some of your information and blah, blah, blah. And she said, yeah, that'd be great. And then, of course, probably some exchange for some house cleaning services, right? So anyway, cool. The point is that I want to make a website for her, and I want to attempt to use AI to do it. You see all these things on Twitter about talking to ChatGPT about making a design and these wonderful landing pages that it can make. I am no designer. So I kind of jumped in here to take a look. But first, before we kind of dig into that, here's what I kind of quote unquote promised for the site. Because again, I'm not getting any money on this. There might be an exchange of services, but I'm not charging for this per se. I figured it was good content. It's a chance for me to use AI a bit more than I have been. Because again, I don't make a lot of new stuff. I don't make a lot of new pages or designs. Any little component that I build, I normally just jump out to Tailwind UI and grab something there, jump out to Flux and grab something there. So I don't make a lot of ground up websites anymore. So short of daily conversational things and searching, I don't get to use ChatGPT for my profession, so to speak. So I kind of started jumping in here and giving this a try a little bit before stream, and maybe some people in the chat could kind of help me get better at this. Because I feel like it's really, really slow. I feel like I appreciate the scrolling interface, it's talking to me, but it's so slow, especially when it starts outputting code. It's it's line by line by line, 300 lines of code. It takes 30 seconds to get, what you want to copy and paste and check. So maybe somebody can tell me how to change a setting or something for that. But going back to the site, what I want to build, and I kind of did some research on local Louisville cleaners. So when I Google Louisville house cleaning, these are the top 5 websites that pop up. This one, I think a lot of them are not the design I would use, I'll say. So this blue and pink is super jarring. I feel like all these pages are so busy. Look how busy this is. And I get it. The bottom half's not too bad, but this middle section's whoa, all these people and awards and banners. I just want a simple site. If you're, in my opinion, if you're a house cleaning service and you kind of want that in a way you want to play in, for a local perspective, I think you want to play into your local, right? This is a national, service. They have polos and stuff, like, and that's fine. But if you've done any house cleaning, like, or you use one of these services, like, I don't know, that doesn't feel as like your house is very personal. Like, this doesn't feel very personal. Some big companies coming to clean my house, like, and sure, maybe they do a great job and stuff, but like, I don't know. I think if you're local and you're looking for a house cleaner, that's a very personal thing. And I think a personal, simple website that doesn't need like all these business awards, like, I don't know, that's not convincing me to use this service personally. If anything, it might actually, for me, be kind of turning me off to the service. So I definitely don't like this design. It's way too busy. I don't know why we need like 1,000 things. Again, just this feels corporate to me. Very, very corporate. Like gift cards. I don't need a gift card. This one's a little bit better, I suppose, but very text heavy. All of them seem to have these little, like, you know, the services blurbs of like each one. I think these learn more buttons are very busy. This one probably felt the best to me. Again, very simple design. I think we could do better as far as the pictures and so forth. But like, again, hero image, very small about section. This picture's terrible. But I do like this services section. I think instead of clicking into these, I just think when you hover over, it just gives you more information about the house cleaning. It gives you more information about the move-in, move-out service or the deep cleaning service. Like, it just pops up. Like, that's the way I would build it. I just want a single page, you know, super simple design. So out of the designs, I probably like this the best. It's the least busy until you scroll down here. It's the least busy. You don't need all these maps. I don't need this chat. What I do want, though, and I think, again, this can be a differentiator. What I do want is, I do want like a pricing quote estimate. Now, I definitely don't want this. This, again, corporate gimmicky. This feels like lead generation stuff. What I want is like on the page, I put in like a little 4 or 5 question form, and it actually gives me right then and there a quote. It gives me probably a range, but it gives me a quote. I don't want to put in my email. I don't want to be called back. I want a quote for how much your service costs. Like, again, minimal, immediate. I think all these things have become like really, really gimmicky, and I think it's a turnoff to some people. Again, I don't know. Let me know what you think in the chat. But that's kind of like my product/service assessment of this industry at kind of a local scale. I get why all these sites look like this, but again, I don't think they're doing it right. I think I would personally, I think there's an audience that would appreciate a simple site that's a lady that does house cleaning, and that's what they want. They don't want the corporate, I'm going to get a new person every week that may or may not know how to clean my house, right? Or may not know the way in which I like my house cleaned, right? So anyway, that's the service. That's the service that we're after. So let me jump in the chat here. Hey, Jeffrey, how's it going? Vooter. Hey, everybody. Mozambique. Wow. You're over there. Nice. All right, cool. Okay, enough chatting. We're like 5 minutes in. Enough chatting. Okay, so here's what I started with ChatGPT. Very, conversational, right? Like, okay, so I'm just like trying to give it a little bit of information. I'm a web developer, house cleaning service, simple page with a form to get an estimate. Again, I'm going to fill in the blanks of the form. I don't need it to generate the perfect form for me or the code in which to make it work. Right now, I'm really just trying to leverage ChatGPT to give me a design that feels close. It has the components which we have listed or the components of which I like on these other sites. The hero section, a testimonial, a list of services, an about, and the footer, right? Or the form, of course. So I kind of did some iterations again to kind of have it work, and this took, I probably did this 10, 15 minutes before the video. So, again, it's dumping out this code. It's taking like 2 minutes to print out all the code. I basically went back and forth with it on the hero image a lot. It's still not quite right. And then I finally figured out that instead of, again, waiting on all of this final code, I did a couple searches and I figured out you could like ask it for, I think what they call like a PRD. So anyway, I kept going back and forth on the hero image. I tried to get a code pin. It didn't work. I kept having to like download it and put it back. Again, I've only used like ChatGPT in this capacity like 2 or 3 times, so I'm probably doing it wrong, but I finally got the full copy of the HTML. I didn't really like what it looked like. Again, this took several minutes. So finally I said, can I get like a PDT version or just a visual comp or whatever? Somebody said, and then it was like, oh, you mean a PRT? And it kind of defined it for me. So a PRT is a prototype. I guess that's the acronym or the initials for a prototype. Not a PRD, product requirements document. Don't need that. So it's like, okay, hey, PRT. So now we're starting to cook with fire, right? Okay, so we're caught up to speed. I kind of stopped there. So once I kind of figured out how to talk to ChatGPT to get these different, PRTs, like now I want to slow down and we're going to do it on the stream together, right? So here's this image. It's very, very basic. So now that I kind of figured out how to talk to it, I think what I'll do is, a lot of people say, oh, if you give it a site that you like, you can start modeling a little bit better. So I think out of the 3, I like this site the best. So let's take this and let's say, hey, looks nice. Good. Can I get another iteration on this as a PRT that maybe looks a bit more like this site? Let's give it that. All right, let's see what it does. I really just want to iterate on this until I feel like the design is enough to work with. And again, from there, I'm glad to kind of tweak things and use Tailwind UI or whatever more and ask it to give me a Tailwind version of the HTML. Like once the design's close, I'm fine with it. But right now, this is most definitely not close. I mean, this feels like 1996. Like we could do a little bit better than that. Oh, apparently the image processing is going to take a bit. So while we're waiting on the slowness of ChatGPT, I'm sure if I have a paid plan, this would go a lot faster, but I'm just on the free version for now. Let me go full screen me, and I realized I didn't close down a couple things. No leaks this time. A couple streams back, I was like leaking information left and right. I rotated all those keys, but okay, we're back. Okay, so it's still processing the image. In the background, what we can do while we're iterating on ChatGPT for like the next 20 minutes, let's go ahead and make a Laravel new application. Of course, we're going to use Laravel. Let's do a Laravel new application. There won't need to be any user stuff. So let's start ripping things out. I'll install Blueprint. We know that we need this quote form, which means we'll probably have some kind of quote model. We could start building those things out with another generation tool, which of course is my Blueprint package. So let's go do that. So let's go to Workspace. Let me close this. And if anybody in the chat is way more familiar with ChatGPT than me or has any tips on somehow getting it to go faster or less like bubble scrolling and just give me the answer, please let me know how to change that. Maybe that's just a paid plan feature. So, okay, let's do Laravel new. I'll just call this cleaning service for now. So let's call this cleaning service. And then I think, what do? You do like -- git, I think, -- git. I always forget the option on that. We can make our own git if we need to, but. All right, so new Laravel 12 application. Let's fire this sucker up. Pint, all the things, blah, blah, blah. All right, let's get into that directory, cleaning service. There we are, cool. Okay, so it did it. Okay, so first things first, we don't need this user model. We really don't need any of this stuff, to be honest. I'll recreate it if I ever need it, but just to make the app a bit more lightweight, let's rm/rf database migrations star.php, and then let's ls database migrations. Is there a git keep in here? ls-la. Let's touch a database migrations.git keep. I'm sure that folder would get regenerated, but let's clean it up. So let's do a git add dot git commit dash m remove. So yeah, we'll remove remove default migrations, let's call it. And we probably need to remove app models, user, great, git commit. I'm just doing these separate. Remove unneeded needed user model. Oh, I didn't add anything. That's helpful. Git add that. All right, cool. Let's do composer require dev laravel shift blueprint. Let's see if ChatGPT's given us something yet. No, come on, really? Should it take this long? Again, I'm on the free plan, so fine, but it's been like 4 minutes. All right, whatever. Let's keep going here. So PHP artisan blueprint init. No models found. That's fine. We don't have any models. That makes sense. To that point, let's MFS everything. Ah, the cedar. Okay, we can fix that. Well, you know what? We need. Let's get into PHP Storm. Let's get into PHP Storm. I feel like I'm going to go back to the HTML at this point. This is like taking forever. What about an HTML version of this? Just give it to me. Yeah, just print that out. Is there any way to make that? Okay, so anybody knows, is there any way to make that just like print, like right now? None of those dots. Just like give it to me. Give it to me. Here we go. What's this saying? Preview your output. Run your code and see how it looks. Cool. Got it. Yeah, just like print it. Nope. Voodoo says nop. Nop. Nop, I guess nope is what you're after. All right, fair enough. We'll just go along for the ride. Put it in Tailwind's playground. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I mean, we're about to make a new project. It's no big deal. All right, let's make this and that and this and create. So many clicks. All right, let's bring this up and let's edit that database bit so we can get back to like a runnable state, and then we'll go back to Blueprint. In the meantime, did it finish? Did this finish? Yep. How do I like copy all of it? Copy all. So many buttons. There we go. Copy. Let's just do pb paste example.html. Open example.html. Okay. Wow. This is ugly. How are these people getting these like beautiful website designs that they're posting on Twitter with like 1 million, you know, 1 million likes, 1 million views? This is terrible. What should we tell it? How can we tell it to give us something better? Let's go back to that one that we liked. Where was that one that we liked? Crap. Did I close it? Was it this one? No. There it is. It was this one. I'm just going to tell it sucks. This feels a bit flat. Can we do another iteration that looks a bit more modern, like this site? All right. Let's see what you all are saying in the chat. Yeah, really. You could prompt a bit more. Like writing, yeah. Like writing a bit more. Yeah, okay. Say you want a 2025 acceptable web design. Yeah, exactly. Give me something better. Oh, did it do it already? Okay, fair enough. Let's see what it said. Answer editing. Answer in chat instead. Did it do it? Is it done? I don't know if it did it or not. Let's do that. Okay, okay. It must not be done. So that feels incomplete. Yeah, just answer in chat instead. I don't fucking care. Yeah, let's let it finish this. Let's let it finish this for a second while we go back and do what we're doing. Yeah, I'll try to talk to it a bit more. I appreciate that. I've seen that. You know, I've seen people mention that. So let's do this. Let's get back to getting MFS working. Okay, great. Nothing to migrate, nothing to see. Okay, cool. So let's get back to a workable state here. So let's add the database seeders. Git commit -m fix seeder or empty. We'll just say empty database seeder. And then, so now let's go to our draft file. What will we need here? What will we need? Okay, we're gonna want, let's call it an estimate. Okay. An estimate is probably going to have a name, which will be a string, an email, which will be a string, a phone number. Phone's fine. That's probably a string. We can format it, but it's probably a string. And then there's some information. I'm not going to put in all the information, but she said things like, you know, number of rooms, like she needs to know the number of bedrooms, number of baths, pets, children, you know, things like that. She has to have a little bit of detail about the home, you know, layout, who's in it, you know, to get a sense of like, to be able to generate a ranged quote. You know, there's probably like 7 bits of data that are going to use to compute and have generate a formula, right, that will be able to provide a quote. Now, she's always going to do a walkthrough, she said, to give them a final quote. But again, I think the whole point of the website is to, you know, the whole point of the website and the estimator is to find a customer. But it's not as simple as finding a customer. You want to, I'll qualify that a bit. You want to find your customer, okay? You don't want, trust me, you don't want everyone being your customer, right? There's some people that use Shift. Their expectations for the amount you're paying are incredible, right? Like they want you to rewrite their like entire application in, you know, Laravel 12 and they're coming from Laravel 4.2 and they want to pay $29. Like that's impractical. I don't want you as a customer, right? So kind of do the same thing here. In a way, the estimator probably will highball, you know, it'll give you a higher cost estimate. Because if that person is still calling, if they see that estimate and they're still calling, they're going to be a higher quality customer, meaning someone who pays, someone who understands, someone who's, you know, willing to go through the process. If someone just wants their house cleaned tomorrow one time for a party that they're having on the weekend and they gawk at the price, you probably don't want to deal with that customer anyway, right? That's not going to be a good customer for this business. That's fine for, again, these national businesses with just bottom dollar minimum wage, you know, workers. And again, I understand. I'm saying a lot here, so I understand the difference. But we want to play into that difference for this service. That is a differentiator, right? So let's just put a few of these things. I'm gonna do square feet here. This will be an int. Let's do bedrooms. This will be an int. Let's do bathrooms. This will be also an int. I'm gonna say actually that these are nullable too. One of these will be required through the application validation, but I will put them as nullable. All right, so square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms. Let's just say pets. We'll just make that a Boolean for now. Children. She may want to know the number of children, so I'll call this an int and not necessarily a Boolean. Obviously, we just put zero, the default 0. Let's just add that, so we'll say default 0. All right, and then there was one other thing. I'll probably add more of these over time, but I want to get as much as possible as we're using Blueprint to generate this. What else did she say? I feel like there was something about the kitchen she wanted to know. There was a very specific question about the kitchen. Maybe it was its square footage. This is good enough for now, I think. Let's go back to, we're going to keep bouncing back and forth to ChatGPT. Okay, so here's this. Let's copy this. Let's go back to our little paste. Let's go back and see what it's given us now. Okay. I feel a little better about that full-length image. I like that better. There's not enough services, but we can play into that. Again, that's where the Twitter UI comes in. I don't want to iterate. Like at some point, just like Blueprint and other things, at some point there's a trade-off of like continuing to talk to ChatGPT to give us the most perfect design and then just going and starting to do some stuff ourselves. So this is not pretty by any means, but like we're getting there. So let's I'll look at our chat and then let's see if we can chat to it a little better. So where are we here? Okay, let me back up. Say you want to do that. Okay, so explaining more the task of the agent is what is good. Okay. So like what's a good design? Fine. Quote could be JSON of range. Quote could be JSON of range. I don't know what we're saying there, Jeffrey, but whatever. All right, cool. All right, let's go back to ChatGPT. This is better. I like the hero being a full screen image. That's good. Okay. I don't want to use emojis. Let's go back to rounded boxes. Let's go back to rounded boxes with background images that match these services. We'll use cleaning, deep cleaning, commercial cleaning, etc. Or that's good enough. All right, and then form is centered. That part's fine. Clean. Okay, so what else could we kind of say about this? What else can we say about this? Let's also add a top navigation that links to each of the sections. Let's give it each of the sections. So about, services, estimate, contact. All right, let's see where it gets with this. This is more information. It's still probably a little techie. It's not very human, but like, we'll say use that. All right, let's see where this gets us. Let's start refining it and try to get it just a little bit more. All right, so while it's computing all of that, let's go back. Okay, I feel like this is okay for the estimate. Okay, so when we get an estimate, we're gonna ask what your name is. You gotta give email or phone number. Those are nullable. You're gonna have to give us the square footage, the number of bedrooms, if you have pets, the number of children. And then again, there's probably more. She had one or two more specific questions. But again, that's probably enough to kind of start the generation. And then from there, we will have an estimate controller, but it will only be... We'll make it a resource controller, and it really, we'll say create and store. Okay, so just to kind of go deeper on what Blueprint is here, okay, so we have it, you've seen me use it before, of course, as the creator of it, but specifically this section, this line here. When you make controllers, the most common thing you're probably doing is making a resourceful controller. So you can say resource actually and really just leave it at that. And it'll give you all 7 of a resourceful web controller, you know, index, create, store, all the way down to destroy. But you can, what we just did, you can give it the specific ones as well, or you can give it groups of ones. So the default is technically web, but you could say API and then you would just get the 5. You don't get create or edit. And then, of course, you can say specifically create and store. So in this case, there is no index controller. The home page, you know, might be create. I'm generating create, but what I'll probably do is just make a home controller that outputs, you know, some basic stuff. I mean, technically speaking, the home view, like my landing page is really just a route view. So I really don't need create. I really just want store. I'm gonna generate create though, just for like maybe some simple playing around. So let's just generate it. I think this is good. Let's save this. Are we in a clean state? Yeah, everything else is just our stuff. So let's go PHP artisan blueprint build. Okay, so this is gonna make our estimate controller, our estimate factory. It gives us a migration, it gives us the model, it makes a test. Again, this is why I wanted to use create. So now I have a test that's actually gonna, you know, send it form data. It makes a form request and then it creates, again, the create template. Now there's nothing in this template, but at least it makes the file. And it updates our routes. So let's go take a look at our routes file. Well, let's go check ChatGPT. We'll keep bouncing back and forth. Okay, let's copy this. Paste it. Let's see what we're looking like here. Let's just, in the background, we're going to keep iterating until we're kind of done. Okay, so it gave us that. Not so awesome. Why choose us? Let's say those services are better. Those services are better. I like that. I can find my own images, or I could iterate individually on the image to find that. So I'm okay with that. That's actually okay. Okay, what can we tell it next? Like, it's still a bit boxy. It's still a bit boxy. Like, I like it. It's a little boxy. There's not enough padding between the sections and elements. The font is super basic. I mean, what is this, like Arial? No, I guess there's a little bit of like linkage. Yeah, so I don't know. The sections we told it about, though, in fairness, it did a better job. It did a better job. Like, this is actually, based on what we told it, it's a better job. So I think it's me lacking enough detail about these sections to talk to it properly. So it's kind of all about, you know, as I've read plenty of times, it's definitely all about that prompt. Okay, so let's do this. Let's say, great. This is looking better. I like the sections. Those are good. I'd like to refine the boxiness, maybe with some gradients and more spacing between these sections. Also, if you could use a more popular web font. I don't know. That might not be enough information, but let's try it. That's what I'm thinking. So again, might be a little terse. Okay, let's try that. Okay, we generated the draft file. Bounce it back and forth. We generated a draft file. We're not going to need an API file. Let's start trimming down this project a bit. So let me jump into app. Let's turn off API. Or let's just delete that in fairness. I'm going to delete the health check as well. All right. And then let's go back to web. So what we'll do here is I think I'll just dump this to view. And then we'll change it to home. Let's do that. So we got route view home. What's wrong with this? Oh yeah, sorry. Route view / home. All right. And then we need to change that. So let's get in views. Let's change, git move that to that and call it home. So whatever ChatGPT ultimately creates for us, we will put this, we'll put it in home blade, basically. We might not even need a layout because again, this is a single page site. So yeah. You know what we need instead of create is show. We need show for estimates. So once you actually store one, you're going to get redirected to show where you see your range calculation. So do I regenerate that or do I just hand write? Let's regenerate it. We got the time. Blueprint. So let's do blueprint erase. It's going to undo the stuff that we did. Let me go back to the draft file. Now, erase is it's kind of undo, but not really. Git's actually going to be a better approach to undoing what Blueprint did than Blueprint itself. And here's an example. The routes web file, it doesn't go find the line and remove it. It doesn't do that. That's a little too extra in my opinion. And you might have already changed it as we did, so like you can't just reset that file. So it's really good to run, and I would recommend running Blueprint in a clean state, meaning everything's committed, so you can just away and rerun Blueprint. That's a lot better than the erase command. It will delete the files that it generated, assuming that those have been untouched. So it's good in that regard, like simple, but again, it has edge cases. So for those reasons, I think using git as your undo is a lot better. Okay, so store and show is really what we want. So let's go back and build this. Okay, so see what it's going to do if we go back to the routes file. It's going to make another one here. That's fine. Again, I can clean it up. It's a one-line change, but that's a little bit better. Okay, so let's MFS, make sure everything's still working. It does. It creates our estimate table. Let's check ChatGPT, and then let's go look. Oh, we've hit the limit. You've hit the limit on the free plan. Responses will use another model until your limit resets. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so we'll stop here on ChatGPT since I've hit my limit. What's improved? Font, enter. Okay, cool. Oh, it was enter before. Okay, well, I guess enter's all right. That's what Tailwind uses, right? Let's PB paste this back into example and kind of see where we landed, and we'll stop with ChatGPT. So let's reset this. Okay, so bigger and bolder. Yeah, it's very bubbly. It's very bubbly with the font change. I think the spacing is really what matters the most. I'm not going to mess with this anymore right now. Let's close that for now. Let's close this for now, and then I think what I may do later today is just like ask it to iterate on it more. Can I get another iteration? Can I get another iteration? Can I get, and just kind of iterate on it until I find some bits and pieces that I'd like. I've had success doing that. Again, it's a little time consuming, but I've had success doing that. So let's close that down. Let's let's get to a place where we finish up today. I'm not trying to build all this in one stream. So we've been going, yeah, we've been going about 40 minutes here. So let's finish up. Okay, so where are we? Let's see what it generated. Let's review the code that it generated and we'll stop there. So back to here, let's just kind of go top down. All right, so we got HTTP controllers. It's got this estimate controller. Let's just get rid of our sidebar in the chat so I can see. Okay, so we have store, estimate create with the validated data, flash the estimate ID, and go back to estimate index. Okay, we don't want to do that. We want to go to show. So let's clean this up as we go. I also like to route a bit better. That's a bit more modern. I could update it to do that, and we really don't need this session. So this is super simple. Create it, put it in show. Now, what probably will need to be done here actually is the to-do here would be generate the quote and save with estimate. So like from like kind of like an auditing history perspective, I want to know what quote it showed to this user. I don't want to calculate that on the fly. I'll calculate that either here on the store and or in a background job, and we can just use a little live wire to hit them back on the front end. I mean, that estimate is going to be plugged into a formula. So, I mean, it should be a millisecond to calculate based on the data. So, but there'll probably be some service where we say, calculate estimate, you know, estimate calculator, right? And you pass it the estimate and it gives you back something. And then we just save that on the estimate. So, so estimate show, here's the request, show estimate. This is good. The rest of this is great. Very straightforward. All right. Let's keep going down the line. We got the request. I don't need this authorized stuff, so let's get rid of that. They'll just always authorized. For now, this is good. We'll add as we go into a future stream and refine some of this form, we'll add things like, you know, required, you know, with or whatever, required if, to make sure that one of these is passed in. I think there might be also a telephone number here. I think there's a telephone validation rule, and you can say like the locale, I think. So we got estimates, everything's mass assignable. Here's our casts, that looks good. We could go ahead and add the rest of these. I'm surprised bedrooms and square footage didn't get thrown into casts as well. So let's go ahead and add these while we're at it. So all of those should be integers. So let's fix these. We'll say, whoops, not that. Integer, cool. All right, so yeah, just kind of cleaning things up as we go here. What else do we have? Database, we could look at the migration. I don't think we need to, but we can look at it. We can kill this .keep now. So Blueprint generates everything like we said, an ID, the name is required. These are nullable. Oh, that's why it didn't cast those. These got made as strings. You know what? It's not the draft file. I think I said int. And it should be integer. That's my bad. That's why they weren't in the cast. I was wondering, I was like, I know I've built that. I think the problem here is this should be integer. And I mean, we could go so far as to probably call it a small integer. I don't think, well, square footage actually might need to be an integer. I don't know what the range on small is. I think small int is like 35,000, but there are commercial properties. I don't think something's going to have 35,000 bedrooms or baths or children. So you could probably go tiny int on children, but 8, I guess. You could stop there. Anyway, small integer. And these, I guess technically these would be unsigned as well. Like, we could get fancy. I could have done this in Blueprint. I messed up. I think we could say unsigned. There we go. We definitely could say unsigned for these. This will give you more space is the reason I care. This gives you a bit more space. Okay, so just tightening those up. Again, extra polish. Don't necessarily have to do that. And I don't care about down migration, so let's just get rid of that. So we're kind of just cleaning up what Blueprint gave us. What else did it give us? Let's go look at that factory. Estimate factory. All right, so the factory, we don't need that. I think that's a PR in Blueprint I want to work on soon. So fake name, safe email, phone number, square footage is not a word. This is where it messed up. I should have said int. So let's say integer, random. We'll say random digit, not null. Random digit, not 0. Well, actually, that doesn't matter. Random digit, not null. We'll say random digit, not null, random digit, not null, random digit, not null. Could be 0. And then square footage, we probably want to say random digit. I thought random number. Here we go. Random number gives us an int. And let's say the number of digits here is probably 4, right? 1,000 square foot home. I think most houses in the Louisville area that are doing cleaning services, that's fair. Okay, cool. I feel like this is good data. I want to have good data, right? I like to have good data that makes sense, right? I don't just want random stuff in there. All right, let's see what else we got. What else did we generate? Controller, request, we looked at that. We looked at the model, we looked at the factory, we looked at the migration. The rest of this is our stuff. I'll leave the example file. There's nothing in that. We removed the API. I thought we removed API. RM, routes API. Okay, great. So let's start adding this stuff. Let's add the tracked files, and then let's add everything under app. Let's add the database stuff and the resources and the tests. Whoops, tests. I actually don't care about adding .blueprint or draft. And I'll add examples separately. So git commit -m, we'll call this whip, generate basic components. That's just kind of my thing for Blueprint. And then let's go ahead and add example.html, git commit -m, and we'll call, whoops, -m, and we'll call this whip, chat GPT design. All right, cool. I'll nah the rest of this. One last thing, vendor bin, pint. Let's let it clean up the generated code, and then vendor bin, PHP unit. Let's check those. Okay, oh, that's on me. That's a Blueprint thing. That's a Blueprint thing. Let's fix that real quick. I want to see the test running. Laravel shift Blueprint. There you are. Where are you? There you are. I think the code to get this is in here. Yeah, there it is. Let's add that. Uh-oh. Did I not? I thought I commented that out. How do you get rid of? I thought I removed that. Oh no, got plugged back in. Did I not remove that? I thought I removed that. Am I crazy? Let's try this again. Boop. Let's see if this runs. I wonder what added that back. I think you know what? I think Blueprint does it. I think Blueprint turns it back on. It shouldn't have, but I think it does. I think somebody added a PR for that. It should conditionally do that. Okay, vendor bin PHP unit. Okay, yeah, okay, so it has, we changed that to show. Let's go fix this real quick so everything's clean, everything's formatted, and we're ready to jump in next time. So let's go to estimate, controller, test. So it uses a form request. We've got some bad stuff here, but we'll fix that later. This should go to show with estimate. Yes, okay. Redirect to route. The name of the route and its data. And then no more session has, and then this is simply blah, blah, blah. So this should all pass. It does. Vendor bin pint, and I'll just call this git commit -m cleanup. Okay, we're in a good place. So I'll push this out to GitHub. I'll probably do some more iterations on that design, and I'll save the chat so we can review it next time if I feel like it gets a bit farther. I'll do a little research too. Anybody watching this, let me know in the comments if you have any tips too. Again, like I said, it's kind of my first attempt to have it do something beyond like a simple image or a prototype, like icon prototype. Having it do a full page design seems interesting to really get those components right. Like where's the balance of like stopping and doing the rest yourself and then have it keep going, right? They make it look so easy on these Twitter threads, but apparently there's some nuance to it, of course. But again, kind of my first time doing it. So let me know if you have any tips for me in the chat. Otherwise, we'll pick up next Wednesday and drop in some kind of design, start wiring up this form, work on the calculator. There's a lot to do, as you saw. So we'll keep going. I imagine there'll probably be, 4 parts to this. So that's the end of part 1. See you next time.